Welcome back to Project 94 for another Diecast review here on the channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at Bubba Wallace and his 2022 Hollywood Casino 400 raced version from the 2022 season. And this diecast right here is going to have the Root Patriotic design on this number 45 Toyota Camry for 2311 Racing. And it's a really cool diecast for Bubba Wallace because this is his second career win, and it's going to be at Kansas, where he beat him fair and square for the win in that Hollywood Casino 400 race. He was a playoff spoiler with this win, driving the number 45, with the 23 team because of the Kurt Busch situation. Ty Gibbs was driving the number 23 number on that 45 team. And because Bubba Wallace happened to be driving the 45 for that race as well, it's a big deal because the number 45 at 2311 Racing has gotten the sweep. Both Kansas races, and of course this was the playoff race at Kansas. Bubba Wallace was already eliminated from the playoffs, but he still went and got the win for the team regardless with the number 45 points. So definitely really interesting to see how that played out. Really cool diecast as well. It's the Root Insurance Patriotic paint scheme, which looks really great on this car. Of course, you guys a 360 view of the box right here because it's a race version diecast, which really looks cool. We don't really review that many race version diecasts unless I elect to buy them. And of course, because Bubba Wallace is one of my drivers, I went and I picked this one up. And that completes the set. I have both the Kurt Busch race version and the Bubba Wallace race version from Kansas. So that's going to be really special to take note of. And of course, let's get this Bubba Wallace diecast out of the box here. The Root Insurance Kansas win from the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas. So let's get this diecast out of the box. And this, for me, is a really highly anticipated diecast for me to collect here. What an awesome race version diecast. Let's get a closer look at this for the diecast review. And first impressions, you got quite the race wear in terms of the tire on the front of this thing. Look at that. Look at all that peeled up tire right there on the front of this thing. And the debris, the speedy dry a little bit, I can tell. And of course you got some scrapes, some confetti, very small bits of confetti, which we'll get a closer look at that. Man, this looks good. This is such a cool diecast to finally have. I've been wanting this diecast ever since Bubba Wallace won that race. I actually picked Bubba Wallace to win the race that weekend, and he goes out and he wins the race with this beautiful paint scheme, which I hear is coming back for 2023. We'll have to see if that's true or not, but regardless, a really cool diecast. It's going to be a little bit of a longer diecast review because we got ourselves the paint scheme and the race version detail on it as well. So let's get a closer look here at this Bubba Wallace Kansas race version diecast. Got the number 45 right there. You got Toyota Camry 2311. Of course, the Toyota Camry TRD nose on there with all of that tire and debris on the front. Look at that. It's kicked up literally all on the nose. We're going to get a full close-ups at this diecast right here. Of course, you got a bit of like red tape on the grill, but not actual competitive grill tape, just two little red stripes right there, right by the Camry logo. The grill opening looks pretty legit and accurate. Looks like you got a bit of a front camera box right there. Of course, the carbon textured splitter. Got a piece of confetti, two pieces of confetti, the star confetti, which is going to be white, gold, and black for the theme of the confetti right there. Of course, you have a lot of tire on the front of this thing, kind of just scattered around here. Of course, that is the black texturing, which is usually what you get on the front of these cars. A little bit of what looks to be speedy dry, because you can tell like the lighter colored texture, like powder on this car. Of course, it's going to cover all of the fronts of this thing. And we're going to look at the hood of this diecast right here. You're going to have the tape on the hood pins right there. You're going to have some more of that tire on the hood. You got the actual textured hood vents in that black and gray color. Looks neat. root for good drivers, and Bubba Wallace was a very good driver that day. And of course, you're going to have more of that tire. Of course, when you have white as the backdrop, you're really going to see, because you have white as the backdrop, you're really going to see the tire literally caked all over it. And of course, you got the pins on the cow flaps right there, which is a cool detail for the race versions. You got another little silver dot right there. That's a hood component right there. I really can't tell what that is because it's so small. Then you have another piece of like black decal. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be there or not. Maybe it is, because the race versions with Lionel, you really can't tell what's supposed to be there and what's not supposed to be there. But regardless, root for good drivers, and of course you're going to have the black, gold, and white star confetti. Very, very sprinkled throughout. Definitely not caked in it. Definitely not a confetti cannon, but you could definitely tell it's more to the left side of the diecast right there, where the confetti hit it. Just get a closer look at that. Of course, you got the number 45, Sunoco. Got a little chip right there that's not supposed to be there. That's wonderful. You have the white Goodyear logo. You got the NASCAR Cup Series. Got number 45 right there. Bubba Wallace with the little hand symbol logo for Bubba Wallace right there, which is really cool to see that. You got Toyota. Dang, what does it say underneath Toyota? Can't really read what it says underneath the Toyota logo. You got DraftKings, Mobile One, Mac Tools, and 2311. Of course, you have Root for good drivers. You got McDonald's, Dr. Pepper. You got NBA 2K23. Wow, they got NBA 2K on this car. That's really neat. Of course, you have the rear quarter window printing, which is super thick. Doesn't exactly line up with the window of the diecast because the real life back windows are actually all the way to the back. The rear quarter window printing. You have a bit of a little tribute logo right there. You have Lidos, DoorDash, and Columbia. Got a bit of a scrape on the wheel well, because that's usually where the scrape markings are on the next-gen car. This is like a flat area right here on the real car, that inner fender, or that outer fender. You're going to probably have some scratches, but this side seems to be mostly on the nose, a little bit on the side of the wheel well, the tire on the car. And you're going to have some more tire kicked onto the side of this thing, the tire debris. Looks pretty neat. And of course, the side skirts of the Toyota Camry TRD. Got the exhaust port right there, the pit road indicator. And of course, you have the TRD, which is a bit cut off because it's the way it's wrapped on there, unfortunately. Now, the way the decal's been put for the scratch, it kind of wraps underneath, but you kind of get the idea. It would be like out here. Black rims on this car, which is cool. I like that. Here's the back for the Toyota Camry, the rear view camera, a bit of a white decal stripe on the spoiler. You have TRD, Root.com, 45, Toyota with some scrapes on top and some more tire debris. I really like how the scrape looks just straight across. You got bumped. Pretty cool detail right there. The scrapes and scratches on the back of that thing. Deck lid, you're going to have some pin tapes on the deck lid pins right there. Black spoiler. I don't recall the spoiler being that huge. Of course, just for the diecast mold. You got Wallace right there. You got the number 45 with a piece of confetti, a gold piece of confetti on there. Cut off white piece of confetti and a pretty scrunched up piece of black confetti with the black roof rails. And let's look at the underneath the splitter, It's just painted on top, or wrapped on top, painted on the bottom. And let's look at the detail on this side a little more. You got a paint chip that's not supposed to be there, but you got some more tire debris very, very sparingly on the door. Right here, it's definitely not as intense as it is on the front nose, but you definitely have some confetti. This side has the most confetti of both sides, so, I mean, both sides of this look pretty cool. Because on one side, it has a lot more of that debris, and then, of course, the scrapes on the wheel well. Whereas this side is more clean in terms of damage. But in terms of confetti, it definitely has more than the other side. So you're getting a good taste of both confetti and race damage on this car. Of course, got the Get Biofuel logo right there. All the sponsors are the same, of course. Just different sides, different bits of race version detail, which is really, really cool. Of course, got the pit indicator on this side as well, which looks awesome. I like how they have that detail on the diecasts. But yeah, as you guys can tell, way more race version detail in terms of damage on this side as compared to this side. I'm going to try to get a bit of a closer look at that tire debris right there on the door. A little bit more than this. That's as far as my camera is willing to take it, but that is how this side looks in terms of that. And now I think it's time to look at the paint scheme, and if I go noticing any more details, we'll go pointing them out. But in terms of the paint scheme, it's spray painted in a blue color, a dark blue, a normal type of blue, not too dark, not too bright. The number, you're going to have a red shadow, a blue outline in bold, and a white number fill. And the red shadow really makes the 45 on the roof pop. I love how that looks. And on the door, you're going to have a white shadow, a blue outline, and a red number fill in. The white shadow helps it stand out more on the doors because of the white portions of the paint scheme, which we're going to be taking a look at the paint scheme itself. It's quite a cool scheme. Now, we're going to start at the front right here, which has all the race version wear and detail. Just the grime on the front is just spectacular. If you like race versions, this is definitely for you. There's been no clean version of this offered, so you can only get this in the raced version as of this video. And probably as for the rest of the time, I really don't think we're going to get the clean version of this. If he runs this again on the 23, you'll probably get the clean version of this diecast right here. So the front, you're going to have the white wrapped around sort of in the middle of the nose right here. And of course, you're going to have some red stripes kind of slanted to match the direction of the OEM grill details right there, which is really cool. You're going to have, let's see, let's count the stripes. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 stripes on each side, slanted to be pointed towards the nose with the white in the backdrop. And of course, I might as well count this as a part of the paint scheme. The root box logo. So you got the 2 white stripes. The thickest stripe has the 4 good drivers over it. And of course, the rest is just transparent. It's just all blue with the roots right on top. And the box kind of nicely wraps onto the hood like a stripe, which is neat. That's very cool how they incorporated the look of the logo for the paint scheme and kind of made it look cool. Just for this car. I really like how that looks. You got a bit of a scratch right there. Not sure if that's just damage from the real-life car or from Lionel. Probably from the real-life car. And now we're going to look at the sides of it right here. You have a white stripe. That white stripe that started in the front continues through the wheel well. Just comes onto the door and just slants right there. And the stripes, the thick stripes, are going to continue onto the door. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those stripes. The thickest stripes, and of course they fade into, well, not really fade, they just kind of transition into really, really thin stripes, as you could tell with the white in the background. It just kind of spikes towards the McDonald's logo and just whoops back down, which really looks nice. Got a bit of blue there for the sponsors. That's what that stripe design was for. It looks pretty cool. I like how that looks. Very subtle patriotic design, of course, for the Kansas race. Looks pretty nice to me. The stripes don't go all the way over the white. Of course, the white continues on the top as like its own stripe. It's not fully covered by the red stripes. But nonetheless, very cool. And that's pretty much the only side detail in terms of the paint scheme. Very clean. Starts at the front and finishes towards the side. Nice work there, Root Insurance. That's a cool design. I really like this a lot. This is definitely one of my favorite paint schemes for the 45 Bubba Wallace short-lived era. Of course, that white stripe is mainly for the race version detail, but it can count as on the paint scheme as well. It kind of matches the white trapezoid at the rear. It's flipped over, and it looks really, really cool. I like how, because it's it's an upside-down trapezoid, it kind of has an angle to it. And the blue looks like it's at an angle in the back, which looks really, really nice. It's very clean and sharp. And, of course, the blue root on top looks nice on top of the white. And much like the Hendrick Cars livery that we looked at, the root the color they used for the root right here and for the good drivers looks to be a different type of blue compared to what was painted on the diecast, or on the car, I should say. And I like how that looks. Too much of the same blue would get boring, am I right? Nothing on the deck lid, surprisingly. There literally was nothing on the deck lid. And of course, just the number 45 on the roof, no roof sponsor. Of course, Bubba Wallace's name and all that. Unfortunately, they cannot put confetti on the windshields of the diecast, of the 164 raced versions. I feel like it would look slightly more like a raced version from far if it had confetti on the windshield, but it does not have it on there, unfortunately. So it's just a clean windshield. The confetti, it would not surprise me if it got on the windshield as well, judging by pictures of this car I've seen. Very cool. The tire debris is by far my favorite part of this race version. And of course, a little bit of the speedy dry out front. Just that coating of the raced version detail. The splitter just, once again, I must emphasize how much I love it when they do the detailed splitters and not just black. You can only get splitters like this on raced versions, which is just... I wish they would all have it. It looks great. I'd like for them to add more detail to the normal diecast as well. Just make it a part of the template for all the manufacturers, and boom, you can have it for all the cars. But it makes the race versions unique, and it certainly makes this one unique as well. I'm loving the tire debris on here. Getting more close-ups of it. Got some confetti on the headlight right there. Pretty nice. Pretty much fully clean on this side as compared to the other side, as you guys are seeing the right side looking at it from the front, or left side looking at it from the front. And of course you have a really cool race version that I would say you should definitely get it, even if you're not a Bubba Wallace fan. I mean, it's a Kansas raced win. You can't go wrong. We usually don't get this many race versions made in the 164s, but man, when we do, the race version variety is great. The tracks, the drivers, I mean, just 2022 was such a great year for the race version. Such a shame the Authentics line is no longer what it used to be, because if it was back in the old days and we had this around, the next gen car, we would have gotten so many of the race versions made, both in the Gold Series and the Authentics, and we would have had a lot of these out there with the cool looking magnets and all that, the little cards, the trinkets, with the race statistics. Unfortunately, you don't really get that with these Gold Series cars because the box is too small. But hopefully with the Winner Circle Lionel diecasts, which apparently are getting made, if this is one of them, I would definitely get the Winner Circle version of this. Those are going to be great. We'll get to more of that Winner Circle stuff some other time. I do have some opinions on that I'll be covering. But in terms of the diecast itself right here for this Bubba Wallace Kansas win, which we're going to continue to give you 360 views of it as I'm talking here. Cool paint scheme, a cool race win. Bubba Wallace absolutely smoked him in that race. It was really good to see. A really good race to watch. Bubba Wallace win that one. A really good feeling for 2311 to get 45 back in victory lane for the second time in the same season at the same track. That is cool. You could definitely have a cool sweep set if you also have the Kurt Busch Kansas win. The Air Jordan car, which looked so awesome. That's one of my favorite paint schemes of the Toyota Camry from that season, 2022. And to have both of these cars, it's just so special to have both of these race versions right here. So, give me more of a 360 view before we close this video out. Give you guys even closer. Let's see how close to this we can get with this camera. We are going to be pushing this to the max, this camera. Just look at that beautiful, beautiful raced version nose right there for you race version fans. Full of detail. Of course, the hood looks great. That looks awesome. Hang it up at a restaurant. That looks awesome with the confetti and the race version detail. Collecting these race versions, especially if you like the driver, it's like collecting, it's like a trophy. It's like collecting these and you're racking these up. Yeah, my driver's winning a lot of races, so we get to have a lot of race version diecasts. It was like that for Kyle Larson. He had 10 wins in 2021. If you collected them all, man, you gotta be crazy to be doing that. But, you know, people all have their drivers they want to root for, and they get their diecast race versions made. It's really special. Of course, you got some tire debris on the roof as well. We're going to point that out once more, because the more you look at these race versions, the more details you notice than before. The more you look, the more you notice. The more you look, the better it gets. Got a little bit of a chip right there, probably from the diecast. I'm not sure if that's from the real race, but if it is from the real race, good detail to add there. And of course, the underbody of this car, surprisingly, no model year. under this. Usually it would say 2022 Mustang or Camaro. The Toyota here does not seem to have that. Quite interesting. I wonder why. Probably because this diecast was released in 2023, but the car itself is from 2022. Because Lionel's really far behind with the diecast. They always end up like this. It's been this way since like 2018. But with that aside, that has been the review of Bubba Wallace's 2022 Kansas race version, the second Kansas race of the season. And I gotta tell you guys, highly recommended diecast, especially if you're a Bubba Wallace fan. But even if you aren't, definitely a cool diecast to have. I would get this with the Michael Jordan, Kurt Busch car that won at Kansas. I mean, what a cool set that would be. And yeah, guys, that is going to be it for the diecast review. So hopefully we'll get some more race version diecast review. I usually don't really collect a lot of these things because I'm really on a budget here when I'm collecting these NASCAR diecasts. So I usually don't get the race versions in the Gold Series. But if you like this, I could get a couple more and we could see a few more videos on these, because they certainly are unique diecasts. So yeah, long video, you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this diecast. Hopefully you enjoyed this diecast review. Comment, like, and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next diecast review here on the channel. And always remember to make sure you know what you're doing when you're putting decals on your diecasts.